Won't he do it? What's going on, everybody? This is your boy, that's Will Rogers, a.k.a. Master Teacher 33, and tonight is Tuesday night, August the 9th of 2022, and the time is 9:05 Central. And I want to jump right in. I've got a powerful message. I want to talk about the God game. We want to break down one of the most, like all of these shows, we're leading up to the Crescendo on August the 15th, cost $249, as we get into the game. Brothers and sisters, got to give a warning today because we live in a world of legal fiction. We live in a world of straw men. We live in a world where the culture and the environment is presented to us as if it is source. But the culture that's presented to us, especially when you read certain documents, specifically the book of Enoch, where it reveals and it explains and it illuminates and it simplifies the fact that everything that you and I have been taught was given to us by certain angles. The book of Enoch is a non-canonized apocryphal book, which is why it is an interesting book because it breaks down the fallen angels, breaks down the appearance of what we call Yahushua the HaMashiach and the resurrection. It also reveals, explains, illuminates, and simplifies a different final judgment and the heavenly kingdom that is now on earth already. But unfortunately, the book is not considered a canonized version. And so, therefore, Enoch's journey through earth and to soul, S-O-E-O-L, which is soul, S-O-U-L, and all of the transitions that it talks about when it talks about the different parables. But the biggest thing that stands out is the heavenly luminaries and then everything that you and I do. So tonight what we are breaking down is the demonization of information. So that's the subtitle. Since certain information has been demonized, all of the information that I've researched that has gotten me to a space or a place where I can exude consciousness or awareness, what we call superior intellect. I don't like the word superior because it implies better instead of wider. And since I have a wider conception, if you want to use that term, it allows me to take in more electrical magnetic spectrum. And so I have a bigger or a wider or a more colorful palette from that perspective that matches, again, growth and development of the God self, so that I can conquer my vices and I can replace my vices with virtue. And the elite class is using the information that they stole, if you use that term, from source, and then they took it out from the Helios Biblios and they demonized the information so you won't use it. And so when I talk to people, it is a travesty because the average Al-Qaeda is unaware of the frequency waves, verbs, and vibrations that limit their shine. So they have to depend upon something, upon some place, upon someone, person, place, or thing. So nouns replace verbs. So they took out dots and tittles. They took out all of, again, the vowels, and they left the consonants, whoever they are. And so now we have a conundrum. And the conundrum is that as we sit here and you're listening to me, there is something that is prohibiting your spiritual growth. And the thing that is limiting your spiritual growth is you don't have access to the God code, which is part of the information that I'll be breaking down on, again, the 15th. So the metaphysics and science of the God code leads to what we call spiritual growth and development. This is the biology of the God game, if you want to use that term. And we're going to be breaking that down as we get into the physical feeling of being unified with the God class, the God kind, which is the universal unified field of physics. What that simply means is that all of the information that the dominant culture uses, every secret society, they have information from Solomon, from David, and it's called meta. And I'll be breaking that down in a private show on August the 15th to destroy your theology. Not yours personally, but everything that I've heard from every religion on the planet. It is devoid, again, of the God code. But yet the dominant culture, the 1%, they use it and then they demonize it. So you can't have access to it because you starved. That's why I told you guys I studied and researched everything that the dominant culture told me not to study and not to research because I already knew they're getting results. So how come they can live longer than you? How come, for example, Queen of England or the Rothschilds? So how did the Rockefellers accumulate their wealth? How come you don't have the same wealth as the Rockefellers? Well, the Rockefellers, the 1%ers of the world, they got access to different information. Do you think they use the same medical system that you use? I don't think so, boo-boo. Do you think they have the same monetary? Do you think they file taxes like you? They don't live where you live. They don't drive the kind of cars that you drive. Their lifestyle is totally different from yours because they got access to information that you do not. And since you do not have access to this information, nor do you want it, that's what blows me away. Like what I'm talking to you tonight about, the average out of keeping on it is not interested. The average person really is happy being unhappy. I mean, I've been doing this for 20 plus years, and one of the reasons why I have not done what I'll be talking about on August the 15th is because people are really not interested in having a superior belief system. Most people, they say, I don't want money, Doc. Money is evil. People to this day, I just had somebody tell me this yesterday. Why you talk about money all the time? People tell me they don't want money. This shit is crazy. I can't make it up. I wish I could, but I can't. And the separation is taking place. And it's awesome to see the separation. Because you can see people, because remember, what is taking place right now is the age of Pisces, duality, and the age of Aquarius, whole brain. Everybody who refuses to level up is getting left behind. That simply means you will stay in this reality. I'm going to the new heaven and the new earth, like I talked about in the People Development Center. So I'm already in the new heaven and the new earth. So I see the whole world differently. Everything is different now. And it's crazy because I never, I thought it was going to be like, I thought you leave and you go somewhere. But no, the new heaven and the new earth has been here the whole time. You can step into heaven right now. It just requires you to do like the movie Free Guy, to see vision, which means you drop your religion or your life system and you undemonize the information. Why? It's not their information. So the dominant culture has information that you don't have access to, and they demonize it. Now you think it's evil because they use it for evil. You can get a hammer instead of driving a nail into the wall, which is what it's designed to do. You can take the hammer and you can bludgeon your neighbor to death. Or you can do what everybody's doing right now, and you can blame assault rifles and guns that have a long clip, and it's an automatic weapon. And so people say there's no need for it. Shit, there's not a need for a lot of things that we have in this culture. Yet I don't see everybody trying to ban those things. Because people don't want to point the blame where it lays, which is with people and stinking thinking. So the God game is removing from the lower frequency that everybody, because remember, 99% of the world is in a lower frequency. So it's pretty much guaranteed because it's 99%. It's only 1% of the world. Everybody else is in a lower vibratory level. So the higher mind is when you get out of legal fiction. That means the straw man. What does that mean? Well, that means you have something called growth and development. Every year, you have growth and development. That's how you know. You just look at your life, and you're growing. So what you did last year, you're a little better than you were the year before. Because you activated the God self, and so what you're doing is you are replacing vices with virtues. That's how you know. So when I look at you and I see that you haven't grown, you got the same friends, same car, same house, same physical stuff, same spiritual stuff, you got the same mental stuff, and you got the same physical stuff for the last 5 years, you in Groundhog Day. Because source code is always moving forward. So the dominant culture, they're always evolving. Yet, the other 95% of the world is not. 99%. How come? Well, the elite, they stole the information. And then they demonized the information. So you would not use the information. So you are now afraid of the information that would actually set you free. So now that is considered, according to the biblical narrative, Lucifer. And all of the whatever text, whatever stuff Lucifer got, you are afraid of it. So you don't go near, even though that's the solution. So all I did was undemonize the information. So when I undemonized the information, bam, I got exalted into the God class. I got exalted, and now I understand the 1%. Now I understand that money is a mathematical formula. So I now understand that money is not about feelings. Money is simply all about discipline. It's really simple. To make money is easy. You just set goals, you implement those goals, you adjust those goals based upon supply and demand. So, like they say, find a need and fill it. That's money. Money is just the ability for you to bring something to the marketplace of value. Thankfully, you were born with something of value. But you went to church, and they told you that the thing that you have that's of value, you're supposed to give it to God, or pay tithes and taxes. So all of your time and all your energy is gone. And then all of Solomon's stuff, the real stuff, like the lesser keys of Solomon, the greater keys of Solomon, the shield, the sword of David. So all of the, I'm going to use the word hidden, for lack of a better term, and the word, remember, this is called metanator. It's a whole other study for another time, which I'll be breaking down a little bit more on August the 15th and get into the meta-narrative that breaks down metanoia. So, neter is I'm going to use the word Egyptian term, because neter is kind of code for nectar and nature. So when you look at meta or metu, M-E-T-U and N-E-T-E-R, which we will be breaking down further, it is the oracles that guide individuals through the God kind or the God class. And it is the language of ancient Kemet. So when you look at neter, or metu, or meta-netu, it breaks down the spirituality of the ancient words of nature. So the language, if you want to use that term, of the spirit world is only revealed to the 1%ers because they stole the principles of the embodied electrical magnetic frequency of the creation. So Atum, which I broke down before, A-T-U-M, in Egyptian culture is what they call meta-neter. And Atum, again, is what they call the premortal. Some call it, again, prime creator. Some call it the Paru. Some call it the rivers of Nun, or Nun, N-U-N. Now, whether you go deep into the study, the point is all of that information that is called the 9 NT It is regarded as the principles of the God class, of the God game. So this is not taught to the Goyim, or this is not taught to lower vibrational entities. So this information, even if it's shared with you, the human consciousness is incapable of assimilating the information. So your pineal gland must be activated, whole brain thinking, in order for you to become what they call Christ enlightened consciousness, where your enlightenment establishes a second path. Now, all of the enlightened ones, that's why all of the Egyptians, they had a snake on their forehead that represents the pineal gland being activated. This is what they call the natural laws of the universe, not the individual laws of God. So there's individual laws of God, and then there's the natural laws of what is called meta-nature, which is the MTCHR, which is a mathematical formula of universal principles. This shit is written in stone in Egypt. And every other culture, when you break down the principles of nature, not the principles of individual gods. So they gave us the principles of individual gods. That's why we got individual religions. And each individual religion has an individual god. So as I said at the beginning of this show, unfortunately, you have demonized the very thing that you need. So it doesn't give a shit what I say tonight, nor what I say on August the 15th. This information can only be revealed to you by the activation of the pineal gland. So all problems to me means I'm talking to someone who has a calcified pineal gland. I can't do shit for you. All thing I can do is model the behavior, which is explaining that I said at the beginning of the show, unfortunately, the separation has already started. Most, again, only 1% of the people on this planet go into the new heaven and the new earth. That's where the number 144,000 comes from. Now, I'm already there. So when I talk to people, I dumb myself down. That just simply means that I don't talk to you in terms that I'm using tonight. Because the terms that I talk to you, if I talk to you in those terms, they don't make sense. So when you get to the stage where you understand meta-neta, then now you're getting to understand the language of the one unnamed and the one unknowable ultimate NTCHR. Because remember, they took out jots and tittles. They took out the vowels. So we only got the consonants. So I could add in consonants and make up a name, which is what you did. What you got, that's why you got a religion. So I don't fucking do that. So I don't have a Western frame of reference, because I threw it away in 2009. So now I just got NTCHRU, because that is the principles of nature, because it was taken out by the dominant culture, specifically by Serapis, who was the first white pharaoh. All the other pharaohs were green. They were the Houthis, which means green ones. Now, unfortunately, everything that I just said probably doesn't register. Which again, the age of Pisces, church, and then the age of Aquarius, water on your brain. That simply means one brain. So, in conclusion, it's extremely important, because if I go further, it just creates more confusion, right? So everything I've already said probably is too much, which is why when I started tonight's message, I said, this is the most dangerous message that I could say without doing a pay-per-view show. Because at least doing a pay-per-view show, you've paid to have your pineal gland decalcified. So the information I'm saying right now, because of the vibration of my tone in my voice decalcifies the pineal gland, which creates, number two, as we already talked about, a severe problem because now you got an issue. I've already said way too much because a lot of you guys are still Christians. You say you're not, but you are because of your affiliation. So tomorrow you're going to have a serious problem because remember, after step one comes step two. And what is step two? I got the universe tries you to see if you really want to go to the new heaven and the new earth where you are co-equal and co-eternal, and you let go of your assumptions that have hardened your heart into fact. So you are always in alignment with your imagination, your will, which is why you create your reality that you live in. What I just said was something that that's why I wrestled with even doing tonight's show. But I just wanted to say just enough so you understand what's happening on August the 15th. Because a lot of you guys, remember, only 1% of the planet knows what I just said. Only 1%. You can go on Facebook right now and post what I just said. Number one, your Facebook account probably going to be like the Facebook jail like I just got out. And number two, you're going to get attacked. Because that's number two. Number one, when you see with God's vision, you start seeing the field. So the God game, this shit is crazy. I've asked everybody, I've read, me and my brother Zen Garcia back, 15 years ago. I don't know how long it's been. When I was on Freedom, what's that website? That remember that radio station? It came on at night and I had on the radio station with all the white folks and they voted and booted me off. I was the only black. It was called Freedom Slips. I want to say still out. Anyway, it was broadcasted around the globe. And I remember when they called me, emailed me, we did what's called. And I had a producer. And she called me and said, Master Chief, Dr. Will, they had a board meeting. Damn, what was it? I think it was called Freedom Slips or Freedom. I think it was, let me see if I can find it. Okay, they changed it. Revolutionary Radio. Anyway, I was invited by, because you can't not, it's kind of like a society kind of thing. You cannot join it unless you're invited by a current member. And so you guys know Zen Garcia's story. Remember, he's a paraplegic now. Supposedly he was driving, blah, blah, blah. Some entities attacked him, pushed his van over the cliff, tried to kill him, basically. So now he's in a wheelchair. And if you've never heard Zen Garcia, you should research what's there. Me and him used to be real close, along with another guy by the name of John the Baptist. And then I went to another level. This is why I keep saying truth. So this is what's happening right now. So I've made a decision. So a lot of you guys will not be able to go with me. And it's okay. And no hard feelings. Because, again, the prices of everything I'm doing is going up. And the warm and fuzzy messages are going to be a little less. The profanity and all the negative stuff that I do is going to be even more to create more of a separation. So, again, that's not really me. You guys know I don't like profanity. I don't like talking about Christians and stuff like this. My wife goes to church every Sunday. Her mom and dad pastors, and so I just do that shit because I know it pushes your button. It's my way of doing number two. And that is, because remember, the same thing that they did to me with this mortgage, they told me everything negative for 2 years. Mr. Rogers, you don't qualify. Mr. Rogers, not going to work. Mr. Rogers, your credit. Mr. Rogers, your income. Mr. Rogers, every day for 2 years. And what I said, I don't give a fuck, I'm doing it anyway. I don't give a fuck, I'm doing it anyway. I don't give a fuck, I'm doing it anyway. So if you really want something, how the fuck somebody going to talk you out of it? Are you serious? Like, if somebody isn't for you, there ain't shit you can do right. And if somebody is for you, there ain't shit you can do wrong. So if I like you, I don't fuck what you do. I like you. I don't like what you do. So you can say anything, because I don't really care. I'm just going to what? For jail? Now, you can leave me, but I ain't leaving you. So when you get to this level, then you're ready. You're ready now, because now you'll see why. How is it that the Rockefellers, how is it that the 1%ers are the 1%ers? How did they get there, man? How did they accumulate their wealth? Have y'all ever asked yourself, there are, they say, 17 ruling families that rule this entire planet. Some say more, some say 9, and the number doesn't really matter. But how did they get there? Those 17 ruling families of the world, how did they get there? These monarchs, these head of state. Bloodline. All 17, 13, 9, depending on, the black boule, there's 9 of those. But how did they get in office? Well, these 13, remember, the Rockefellers, Kennedys, Schwarzeneggers, most of them are German. But Nathan Meyer Rothschild sits on what is called the World Monarch, or the Council of 300, the Committee of 300, central banks, all of that stuff. Y'all heard of all these conspiracy theories. How did those dudes and do that get to that? How do you get on that? How do you get on that level? That is a book called Seeds of Destruction. You might want to. Well, I don't know if you should read it, but if you want to, So the knowledge I just said tonight, that's only those dudes know that. So, unfortunately, what they did to gain control of the global population and to keep control of the global population is they demonized the information. So these 13 or 9 families, they got absolute power. They control all the wealth. They control all the resources. They control all the people. They control the food, the water. They control your information. They control all the media. They control everything. There's nothing done on this planet that the ruling elite that sit at the top, this 1% that controls the entire planet. How? Well, you got to read the book of Enoch. Or you got to read the Samaritan text. You could look at John D. Rockefeller. You can go type in Google right now, John D. Rockefeller. There's a picture of him from in 1882. And look at that picture and tell me, does that look like a human? Now, I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. Then look at David Rockefeller. There's a picture of him floating around. Go Google, type in David Rockefeller. Google 13 ruling families. Then look at their pictures. Y'all remember Ted Bundy? Well, one of the ruling families is called the Bundy. Y'all remember that car, like Aston Martin? That's another one of the ruling families' names. Collins is another one. Y'all remember the paint, DuPont paint? DuPont. That's another one of the elites. These individuals, the Kennedy, y'all know about them. What about the Chinese dynasty, the Lin? What about Onassis, the girl that married the one Kennedy dude? Why do you think she married him? We all know about the Rockefellers, right? What's the other one? The Merovingians, the Rothschilds, I mentioned those. I'm trying to think of all the names. Remember, all this shit I studied back then 20 years ago. All this is found in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 17. It breaks all of this down. Also, 1 Timothy chapter 2 and 1 Timothy chapter 5. Because it talks about the ruling elite. So once again, if you read the book of Enoch, it tells you root cutting, wearing of makeup, clothes, perfume, everything that we do is in there. Along with the two keys, which are the bloodline of King David, the bloodline of Solomon. So what the ruling elite did, they gave you the dumbed down version of King David. Nobody knows the true esoteric meaning that I'll be breaking down. And again, I'm just giving you the stuff that allows you to get out of what we call ignorance. In other words, so that way you have wealth, health, wisdom, and you can get your toes curled. Why? Because now you can see the field. So if you walk into an ambush, it's not because you don't see the ambush. It's because you are committing, like you gonna do like I did, suicide by cop. You just decide you don't give a fuck no more because you see the game and you see that the game is rigged. And so you're like, I don't want to play. So you just, you just exit stage left, which I don't recommend it. So your job is what? Like I said at the beginning of the show. All the information that you need to be successful is called meta-neta. It's M-E-T-U or M-E-T-A, and then neta for nature, N-E-T-E-R. Especially if you're not taking a class on the 15th, you want to research that. Next you want to do is you want to read the lesser keys of Solomon and the greater keys of Solomon. The next you want to read is the esoteric books of King David, if you can find it. Next, again, especially if you're not taking the class, you want to read the book called Grimoires, so you can understand symbology or sigil magic. Next, you need to read the 13, what's it called? Learned Elves of Zion, especially if you're not taking a class on the 13th. Because the class on the 13th, again, is $249, and I do not recommend it, especially if you still if you got Christian beliefs, honestly, for real. Like, there's some of you guys because I know y'all are still target Christians, which I'm over, but don't take the class on the 15th. Because for real, it will cause severe psychological problems. Now, I already told you yesterday the part of the brain that's going to get attacked. It's called the DLPFC. We'll be breaking that down. And so what happens is this is clinically proven by Harvard. This will put people in insane asylums. For real. You cannot take this class on the 15th if you still hold on to, if there's a part in your brain that still has fondness. It's called the posterior medial frontal cortex, the PMFC. It will create a serious neurological impairment that will cause what they call brain fog because it triggers cognitive dissonance. This is, again, there's a great book called Christianity in Crisis, which is why certain Christians are very dangerous. They could literally do like what certain Muslims do, where you can strap a bomb on your chest, run into a building and blow everybody up. Because of the cognitive dissonance, there is a mental conflict that occurs inside of a person's brain when those two parts of the brain are not in alignment. It actually creates a serious psychological problem. You could actually end up in a mental hospital. So what we're doing is replacing the lower vibrational level with a higher one. That's what I do it for myself. And what I did was I undemonized the information. Because all the information that you are afraid of is what the dominant culture used to keep you in your religion. Because if you ever read the Lesser Keys of Solomon, the Greater Keys of Solomon, if you ever read the ancient texts, if you ever read the Codex Gifts, if you ever read the Devil's Bible, if you ever read all the stuff that I've read, you will see that it is a mathematical formula for controlling subatomic particles, which is what I'm going to be breaking down on August 15th. So it is the scientific explanation of cosmic control. Let me say that again. It is the physics of controlling cosmology. Let me say it again. This is why it's so dangerous. This is why the dominant culture don't teach this. Could you imagine if you taught this to niggas in the hood? You know what they would be doing? They would be doing this shit just to get nookie. Because they are debased. Their brains cannot vibrate high enough to actually use this knowledge for good. This is why they hide the knowledge from the Goyim. Because they know that the word Goyim means pig. So they don't give this the Bible. Even he said that the Bible, what does the Bible say, man? The Bible said, why? Do not cast your pearls among swine. That's where they get that from. So as long as you swine, you can have these pearls. Like a lot of this here, I probably should be charging even more. The way I usually separate it is by charging a lot, so then no Goyim can afford to take it. So what I'm simply saying is not calling anybody that. I'm simply saying you can choose tonight or today to walk into heaven right now. Heaven is already here. It is a superior mindset. But you are co-equal or co-eternal. That means that you shifted your timeline. Now, your emotions, they are internal, and you have an internal GPS system. So I have an internal GPS system that tells me in advance what's happening. And when somebody does something, I know, like if I do something that pisses you off, I know I piss you off, so I may respond immediately, or I may wait to allow the issue to be diffused. Then I re-interject. Because now I have something that you should have. And your job is to over and understand that this superior knowledge is not superior as in better. It's actually, it just simply means that you are more of an impact. Because now you have access to information that is demonized. Because it's not their information. They just took the information. And they saw that this information controls subatomic particles. You are a subatomic particle, so now they control you. That's why they control all the media. They control all the books. They control the food, the gas, the water. They got everything. They changed the hertz from 432 to 440. Now, they're like in the Matrix, and just like in the movie Westworld, they can control your mind by using the SSSS. That's the sound spread spectrum. I've done many, many shows on that already. I've done many shows on electronic demonic possession. Everybody is electronically demonically possessed. That's why you got electronics in your house. That's why there's electronic. Right now, there's wireless everywhere. And I tell you guys, I just ordered this device that picks up. See, I got to find it now. I packed it away in one of my boxes. And there's a few people who's coming out with this knowledge. This knowledge comes from the fallen angels. But where did they get it from? Well, the fallen angels said that we're going to expose humans to this knowledge because Source did not want to expose them to this knowledge yet. So what they did was sped up, if you need that term, source code plan. So they gave cosmic knowledge or celestial knowledge to terrestrial beings. Then they intermingled celestial and terrestrial, which source code was probably going to do anyway. What they did was just sped up timeline. Because time doesn't exist. Clocks do, time don't. Time doesn't exist. Measuring devices exist. There's no such thing as time. There's such thing as a clock, but there ain't no such thing as a time. So you can change time out anytime you want. You just put your mind on that time, and you will get in line. Your mind will align with that time. You want to go back in time, you literally can do it. That's what time travel is. It really does exist. You can actually go back in time. If you just consume yourself, you would literally, you may be crazy from the perspective of, because you are in 2022, but you could mentally take yourself back to 2017, and you could relive, and you will actually conjure up, you probably be the only person that can see it, everything that was in 2017. I could literally go into grief and go back to when my daughter Shamora was here physically, and I could literally, my brain would manufacture an apparition. That's how powerful your brain is. And it would literally take me back to my memories. Because memories are nothing but light impressions in the brain. That light, once impressed, never goes away. So if you go back and reactivate that light with your light, you can actually change the timeline. That's what the whole movie for Dr. Strange was about. So what about fast forward? How does manifestation work? How do I get this house? I went into the future and I brought the future into the present. So how am I going to manifest the rest of my life? I'm going into the future for things that I see, because if you can see it, that means it exists. So do you know there's a version of you that's married to somebody totally different than who you're married to right now? Do you know there's a version of you that's very wealthy? There's another version of you that's very sick. There's another version of you that's very poor. You got all of these different realities. The one that manifests is the one that you focus on. The dominant culture knows that. Remember that movie? I forgot I was watching it. And I told everybody to watch. It was about they went into this tunnel and there was a fork in the road. And it had this symbol. Damn. Y'all remember the name of that movie? I mean, it was a series. And that's what it's about. The guy, they went underground. Right now, there's these deep underground tunnels, deep underground military bases. Now, again, this is why you can't listen to this if you're a Christian. It will fuck your world up for real. Because you're going to create cognitive dissonance. But what I'm telling you is that higher laws. This is God stuff. So the God game is simply you're no longer operating in legal fiction. You no longer agree to be a straw man or a straw woman. You're leaving legal fiction and you're going back to growth and development. You're leaving the lower vibrational level and you're going up to what King Soul of Man and King David. Remember what God said about David? While he was committing adultery with Bathsheba, he said, David is a man after my own heart. Now I might want to do, because every satanic cult I ever went to, they had the shield of King David. And they had the spinning circle and the triangle of Solomon, which is a demonic portal. Because Solomon had total mastery over 72 demons. I've already broke all of that down. That's inside the lesser and the greater keys of Solomon. It's free on the internet. Just be cautious and make sure that you maintain a higher vibration. So that information that I just said, lesser keys, Solomon, David, that's demonized now. But where did it come from? Well, it came from these fallen angels. Okay, they used to be angels. Y'all understand that? There used to be, everything that's evil used to be good. The angels decided to drop down in consciousness. And they got here and they decided to stay. Because guess what? They liked it. And they set up thrones for themselves. And made themselves God. That's who you worship. You worship fallen angels. Not you personally, but people you don't. So all these that I call religion, all that shit, all the 1%, they already know this. I thought none of the 1% are religious. Why? They don't freaking go. They the one who wrote the religious book to keep your ass away from the real information. So I read the same shit they do. And that's what I'll be sharing on the 15th. So if you like your religion, and you like where you are, please do not, because I want to mess up your theology. Because what the elite class is using is the information that they stole. Then they demonized it. Then they set it or hid it so only they have access to it. And now most of those hidden texts and ancient texts is underneath the Vatican. And nobody can read it. So now you have no clue how to heal yourself. You don't know what herbs to eat because they know, but they're not telling you. So it's not their information though. It's yours. But now you're afraid of your own information because they said that's demonic. So you have to undemonize the information. If you don't, your concept of the information twists the information and it does become demonic for you because it is done unto you as you believe. So if you believe in demons, demons exist. I don't believe in demons. I do believe in dispositions. So if I see a demon, I walk straight to it. Anytime I see something I fear, I walk straight to it. I go to fear. Anything I fear, I go to it. And guess what happens when I get there? Zoop, just like this house. They tried to gaslight me. They tried to get me in the fray because they thought all other black folks was quitting. I noticed all the black people was losing their houses that they used to qualify for. Why? It was all smoke and mirrors. So everything that you are afraid of, that's exactly what you should do. Because your blessing is behind the door that you're afraid to open. That's why I keep telling everybody, nobody does what I do. Why? They're afraid. You're going to put your image on it. You're not going to talk about your bad shit. You're going to talk about how you cheated and lied or what you did wrong. Or you're gaslighting and talk about somebody else. But you will not put your business out in front of you. You're going to post your flaws on Facebook. Why? Because you literally are afraid. Not you personally, but you know. The day I came home, and it was a big conundrum. If y'all remember, I posted shit on Facebook. Now, shit, I had left. Moved out, packed my shit, but then I tried to come back home. Came home and caught my wife and her new guy in the house. Well, obviously, it's still my house, because the shit's in there I brought. So, obviously, I had a problem. Would you post it on Facebook? Hell no. I posted it on Facebook. And then all the wife's family chimed in. Then all my family chimed in. It turned into a big old fiasco. That was the greatest thing I did. Why? Because it shows that I'm human, just like you. It shows that I make mistakes. Shit, don't worship me, bro. I'm not moral. I ain't no holy man. I ain't no water walker. You catch me the wrong day, I'll bust you in the head like anybody else. So no, I'm not the guy. What I am though, I'm authentic. I'm a real dude. If it doesn't work, I'm gonna tell you it doesn't work. But if it do work, shit, I'm gonna tell you it works. I'm gonna tell you how I got my $100,000 car. So if you want to do shit, you can do the same thing. I'm gonna tell you how I got my $1 million house. So if you want to get you one, you can do the same thing. I can tell you how I can lose weight and gain weight. I can tell you how I have blood pressure. My blood pressure is perfect. My cholesterol is perfect. I can tell you how I don't look my age. I can tell you everything that I do. Why? Because I'm authentic. I ain't got shit to hide because I'm not afraid. So people who are afraid don't have access to information. Because information removes all fear. The Bible calls that perfect love casts out fear. What is love? Attention to details. I'm a 6. 6s, we like details because that's what love. You can't love something unless you understand it. So if I'm in a relationship with you, whether it's business or personal, it is my job to understand you. That's the only way I can love you. Because the people who have dark and they hide and stuff, we just got surface level relationship. But the people that I know, people like the Spaniards, we got a relationship. I got a relationship with them. They've been in my house. We've talked. We've hung out together. Like Sister Kid Walker, she's real people. So some people like, and this is real, man. This is not fake. If Sister Kid Walker called me and said, hey, Doc, something's going on, somebody took it to my house, they're outside banging on my door, I don't know what to do. She said, keep that nigga outside till I get there. I would tell her, hey, Sister Kid Walker called me, she needs some help. Why? Because I met Sister Kid Walker. I looked her in the eyes. And I know she's real people. I talked to her son. I know she and I, they're trying to hurt, harm, and defraud people. She's just like me. She just wanted what God has for her. That's what she's interested in. So that's real. All this other stuff everybody else is promoting and doing, I'm not down like that. So there's a separation taking place. Real people to the right, everybody who's gaslighting, faking, conning, y'all got gimmicks and scams, skinny jeans, all that stuff, all that shit's to the left. The Piscean age is over. The age of Aquarius is here. Age of Aquarius is the age of knowledge. You should be co-equal to co-eternal. That means you know everything. So if something comes up to you and surprises you, you need to check you. Like, you should not be, especially in a relationship. Like if you find out something going on and you don't know, that means that something's wrong, something's off. If your job comes up to you and say, I'm sorry, Mr. Abercrombie, we don't, we got to let you go. And you didn't know that? You didn't see it coming? If your spirit didn't tell you that, get your backup plan because of your job, they're going to let you go in 2 weeks. My spirit tells me shit that's going to happen before it happens. That's why I always have a plan. Because my spirit tells me to have a plan. And if I don't need a plan, my spirit tells me I don't need a plan. So my brothers and my sisters, please undemonize all of the information that you're afraid to research, because that is the solution to all your problems. Because the information that is demonized was demonized by men, not by God. They don't want you to know it. They don't want you to use it. And they damn sure don't want you to get the results with it that they're getting. You see, it's not their information. They stole it, they learned it, they demonized it, and now they're using it to keep your ass in church. I recommend whatever they read, whatever the Watchtowers, all them other scary people, they lizard people and all this other stuff. What the hell do you think the demons were, or the fallen angels were? I put that inside my book, Cosmoquator. Their skin became leathery after they fell. That's why they're nitrogen breathers and they live under the earth in those deep underground military bases. They wasn't always like that. They became like that because source code turned them over to a reprobate mind. All that shit's inside of my book, The Cosmoquator, that I wrote 20 years ago. So hopefully everybody's up to speed. I love you. Appreciate you. Okay, see y'all. Mañana. God bless.